This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Alright, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, it is now Monday, start of the week, and let me tell you what's going on today. First segment, we will be spending that segment on the Mexico and Germany match, giving my thoughts on that, what I learned from it, my takeaways, and what I thought of it. So we'll be doing that. Then we'll be talking about the other games that took place this weekend in the World Cup for the second segment. Third segment, we will be talking about Julio Jones. Seems that him and the Falcons don't really have the best of a relationship right now. And obviously, that's not great considering the fact that he's your best player on offense. I mean, besides Matt Ryan, I guess. So there's that. Plus, I guess they're not too happy about him working out with Terrell Owens. All right. And they got this the little hashtag, little model thing in Brotherhood. And it's kind of funny seeing that the Falcons aren't happy about it because he's not there. He's not living up to the whole Brotherhood type of thing. So we'll be talking about that. And for the fourth segment, we'll talk about the U.S. Open, talk about the winner. Okay. And it seems that everyone lost their minds because Phil Mickelson hit the ball while it was rolling after he tried putting it in. So we'll talk about that. Also talk about the fact that I think the winner finished. I know there's a big problem with the course this weekend, I could see. All right, and that was one of the bigger stories. All right, you got your winner finishing at 1 over. Normally that doesn't look too great. All right, so we'll be talking about that. Also talking about the games going on today in the World Cup for that fourth segment. We got England and Tunisia playing right now as I'm recording this. Right now it's 1-1. We had Belgium beating Panama earlier 3-0. And then we had Sweden beating South Korea at 5 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. 1-0. All right, so that's what today's show is going to be about. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. Let's get it started. All right, so obviously going into the World Cup, you got your favorites, okay? You got your Argentinas, your Brazils, France, Germany, Spain. All right, those are the teams everyone's still picking to win, okay? And Germany, being the number one ranked team in the world, obviously, most likely, had the best shot, okay? They won the last World Cup, 2014, ended up beating Argentina on that Mario Götze extra time goal. So coming into this World Cup, you're expecting a lot out of Germany, and you figure that they wouldn't really have too much of the consensus, like majority, I guess, of thought was that you figured they wouldn't have too much of a problem against Mexico. Me, I kind of thought Mexico would give them a good game, all right, if they attacked, which they did in the first half. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't think anyone expected Germany to lose to Mexico, okay? And, I mean, getting into that game, it starts out, Mexico has a chance from, in the first minute. We got Hervin Lozano, all right, cutting across the middle, from the side of the box into the middle, and he shoots it, but Boateng ends up deflecting it off for a corner kick. So obviously from the start, Mexico seemed like they were ready to go. It seemed like a very different Mexico team compared to the others we've seen versus top teams. Okay, we got remember the 7-0 loss to Chile. All right, lost 4-1 in Germany's B team last year, so I'm sure people expected a lot of that. But from like I said, from the start, Mexico was ready to go. Okay. So they're going back and forth. Germany's getting chances. Mexico's getting chances. And I think it was in the 35th minute, something around that time. Hervin Lozano ends up getting a goal there. Okay, Mexico's up 1-0. Everyone seems to be losing their minds considering the fact that, I mean, it's not the fact that Mexico lost, but the fact that they were the better team. They were a better team than Germany in the first half. Okay? Germany had their chances. I think it was it Toni Kroos who had a free kick that ended up going off the post due to an Ochoa save. I think it was. All right. And like I said, Germany had their chances, just they couldn't put it in the back of the net. All right. And Mexico did well in that game to pretty much weather the storm. All right. So like I said, in the first half, Mexico was the better team. Let me see if I could pull up the actual stats for the first half. Given the fact that I think Mexico had something like 10 shots or something like that in the first half. Let me double check that real quick. So first half, Mexico took 10 shots, 4 of them were on target. All right, Germany took 8 shots, 5 of them were on target. So the first half was pretty much, like I said, back and forth. Both teams having opportunities. It's just a matter of Mexico took advantage of one of them, and Germany did it. All right, Germany had the ball for about 64% of the time in that half. More passes. All right, more accurate passes and all. Second half comes, and, I mean, Mexico completely got away from what they did in the first half. But if you listen to what Mexico coach Juan Carlos Osorio said after the game, pretty much the plan was to get one up early on Germany and defend after that. Okay. And normally for Mexico, when they do that, they tend to give up a lead. Okay, I remember in the 2014 World Cup, back when they played Netherlands in the round of 16, you had Giovanni Dos Santos scoring. I think it was early. It was like maybe in the second half. Might have been the first half. I can't remember exactly, given the fact that, it was 4 years ago. But nonetheless, he scores. And then Mexico's coach at the time, Miguel Herrera, decides to play defensive from the 60th minute and on. All right. And once they did that, the game completely changed. Mexico was pretty much just trying to defend anything they could against Netherlands. All right. And then, as you know, Netherlands eventually score. Wesley Sneijder gets the goal. I think it was like the 89th minute or something like that. 80th minute, I believe. I can't remember exactly. But nonetheless, that happens. And then we have the Robin dive where they end up scoring the game-winning penalty right before regulation time is over. All right. And pretty much it was like the same thing. Well, the same system that Osorio tried in this game. Okay, Mexico scores 1-0 after the first half. Second half comes, instantly go back to playing defensive. All right, they brought in 2 defenders, Rafa Marquez, Edson Alvarez, and the only attacking player they brought on in that game was Raul Jimenez, and they took off, I believe it was Irving Lozano for him. Okay. I was very surprised at the Carlos Vela sub, given the fact that he was creating a lot of the opportunities for Mexico. I mean, him and Chicharito were very dangerous on the attack. Mexico probably should have had at least 2 goals in that first half, maybe even 3, given the fact that, the counterattack was so good. And one problem that I saw with Germany in this game was the fact that their outside backs were pushing up a lot, and that's what allowed Mexico to counterattack so well. Okay, when you got Hummels and Boateng back there by themselves, when it's 3-on-2, 2-on-1 most of the time, obviously you're going to struggle. Okay? But nonetheless, I think, let me see, when did Mexico end up making their first sub? I believe it was around the 60th minute. Like I said, it was exactly like the Netherlands game, except Germany just ended up scoring. It didn't end up scoring. Okay, yeah, so 58th minute, Edson Alvarez comes in for Carlos Vela. I was kind of, I didn't really like it, but you understand now they're going to try and sit back and try and defend against the Germans. So he comes in. Marco Reus comes in the 60th minute also for Sami Khedira. All right, so Mexico brings in a defensive player. Of course, Germany's got to bring in an attacking player. 66th minute is when Jimenez comes in for Lozano. I didn't really understand that one. It had to be something where Lozano was maybe tired and he couldn't go any longer. All right, but it's a point where, it's the World Cup. You got to have your best players out there no matter what. But nonetheless, Jimenez comes out there. And I think, too, maybe with Jimenez coming in there is that he's got a solid work rate where he tracks back a lot and is able to, obviously he's a forward, so he's not the greatest defender or whatnot, but he's able to disrupt a bit on the wing. All right, so I think that's maybe why Jimenez ended up coming in for Lozano. And then the 74th minute, where I definitely thought, Germany was probably going to come back and score, is when Osorio brought in Rafa Marquez. Okay? Rafa Marquez, one of the greatest Mexican players of all time, if not the greatest. All right. But nonetheless, the dude is 39, and that's old. He's slow. All right. Retired from club football. Now he's going to finish out this World Cup and be done with it. All right, so he comes in the 74th minute, and I'm thinking, wait. First 2 subs, I can see. This sub, are you sure? Is this what you want? Germany's going to be attacking the entire time. Okay? You got Royce out there. You got Ozil out there. How is Rafa going to keep up with them? And sure enough, the old man did it. Okay? Not exactly sure how he does it time and time again, but when it needed to happen, he made plays. Couple of interceptions. All right, he made had a solid pass where Mexico had a chance on the counter, but nonetheless, I mean, it was ridiculous how much Mexico failed to score in that game. Okay, so let's see exactly what Rafa did in that game. So he played 16 minutes, only made 6 passes. I mean, 85% of them were accurate. He had 1 key pass, which was that through ball. All right, let's see. How many tackles did he have? He had 0 tackles. He had 1 clearance, though. Okay, so he did a job well. Like I said, I wasn't too sure of it. I mean, first couple of passes from him were pretty shaky, weren't as accurate as you'd like him to be, but nonetheless, he's got the experience, and I think that's why he continues to come to every World Cup. All right, chances are 2022 he'll be what? 44? I mean, maybe he just plays for Mexico. All right, who knows? No, but in all seriousness, I mean, he did well. Alvarez did well, and Jimenez did well to do a job. All right. Like I said, I mean, Germany was attacking the entire time. They took 18 shots in the second half. 4 of them were on target. And one thing with Germany, too, I didn't really understand is that they weren't really trying. Well, I don't know if I want to say trying, because I was going to say they weren't really trying to get into the box as far as their scoring chances. But there's a point where Mexico, late in the game, were playing like 6 defenders in the 18. All right? They completely took Iceland's approach against Argentina. It was like, you know what? We're going to do that against Germany. All right, so you got Germany taking a lot of shots from outside the box, and granted, a lot of them were low. It's not like these were all in the air. Low through traffic, and Ochoa did well to save all of them. All right, and I mean, it's ridiculous how well Ochoa plays in World Cups. This guy had 9 saves on Sunday, and I mean, seemingly, like I said, they couldn't do anything against him. All right, like I said, when he made that save on the free kick, it's like, oh, yeah, he's going to have a great game here. All right, but nonetheless, like I said, Germany kept coming and coming and coming. And you figured at one point, like, they got to get a goal, right? I mean, Mexico wasn't attacking or anything like that. Like I said, they had a couple of counterattacks. That's it in the second half. But it's a point where just Germany couldn't get anything going. And I think that Germany's problem in this game, too, was the fact that they didn't really try switching anything up. They kept trying the same thing where obviously it's to be attacking heavily, but it was the same thing over and over and over through the middle. All right, some of them was through the wing and whatnot, but they didn't really try anything different against Mexico. And I feel like Mexico maybe was a little bit comfortable with that, given the fact that they knew what was coming. Okay? You send the outside backs up. Try and get the ball to Cruz if you can in the middle. Cruz is going to try and take a shot. All right? If not, look for Timo Werner in the box, which basically what they did. All right? And Timo Werner definitely going to be a great player going forward. I mean, dude had plenty of chances. It just been going for Germany. All right? And one thing with Germany is the fact that teams, after they win the World Cup, their next World Cup, they always struggle. Okay? I believe in... What was it, in 2002? I don't even think France ended up making it out of their group, and if not, I think they made it out of the, didn't get past the round of 16, or was it the quarters? I can't remember exactly. All right, Italy wins it in 2006. They don't make the group, or they don't make it out the group in 2010, and then Spain wins it in 2010, and they don't make it out the group in 2014. Teams always seem to struggle when the next World Cup after they win. All right, we got the Super Bowl hangover. Maybe it's the World Cup hangover now. All right, but nonetheless, like I said, I thought that Mexico had a chance to at least get some points in this one. All right, but nonetheless, I think this is their biggest win ever. All right, people are say, "Oh, it's just a group stage game." Yeah, it was a group stage game against the number 1 team in the world. Okay, and Mexico, like I said, they've always been that team where they aren't good enough to get in that top tier, but they tend to do well in that second tier. All right, they're one of the better teams in that second tier. Talking about teams like Croatia and that's on that side and all that. They have never really been good enough to hang with like an Argentina. All right, they tend to do well against Brazil, but nonetheless, you get what I'm saying. Okay, and they showed here that, you know what, they could hang. All right, and this was huge given the fact that they're trying to make it past the round of 16 for the first time in their last 6 tries. Okay, and like I said, the win was big here, just given the fact that if Mexico wins, chances are they won't have to see Brazil in the round of 16. Given, I think we all assume Brazil will win their group. All right, well, we'll be talking about Brazil in the next segment, actually talking about their game against Switzerland. So, yeah, I mean, historic win for Mexico. They played well. All right, I don't think anyone should really ever doubt Juan Carlos Osorio again. His tactics work. Okay, of course, some of the subs were a bit questionable to me, but nonetheless, he had a plan, put his subs in, they executed. So you can't really get mad at it there. All right, some are going to say, oh, Mexico should have attacked more. I mean, they won 1-0 against Germany. What do you expect? I mean, it's points. It's 20 points right there. So we'll see what ends up going down. They play South Korea next Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they play the Wednesday later that week against Sweden. I'm assuming that game against Sweden could possibly be for the group. Who knows? All right, so we're going to wrap it up here. Like I said, next up, we're going to be talking about all the other games from the weekend. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. One thing I will say about this World Cup is I don't think we've really had a bad match yet. Okay, of course you got your 1-0 games. I don't think we've had a 0-0 draw yet, which is great. Have we? No, I think it's all been like the lowest scoring game has been 1-0. All right, yeah, we haven't had a 0-0 draw yet, I believe. Yeah, so no. So like I said, all the games have been good, and it's like even the Morocco and Iran game, okay? Of course, those aren't football powerhouses or anything like that, okay? And I think that goes without saying. But nonetheless, I mean, that game was 0-0 for most of it. Iran ended up winning off of an own goal, but nonetheless, it was still a good game where Morocco had chances, Iran had chances. All right, Peru-Denmark was a fun one where Denmark ended up winning, but Peru probably should have scored about 10 goals in that game, okay? So yeah, World Cup so far, I think, like I said, we haven't had a bad match yet. Maybe Egypt and Uruguay, but of course, Uruguay did have chances in the second half. So like I said, there hasn't been one true boring game, I'd say. All right. So, I mean, that's a plus there. But nonetheless, I mean, we did have a bunch of games over the weekend. We had Argentina, Iceland. Let's start off with that one, okay? Obviously, we saw Ronaldo on Friday against Spain getting a hat trick. All right, and seemingly saving the game in the 89th minute or wherever it was when he hit that free kick. Obviously, what that means is the eyes are on Messi next day. He's playing Iceland. Ronaldo scored 3 goals. What are you going to do, okay? How are you going to top that? I think that's a bit unfair given the fact that, I mean, I get it. They're the 2 best players in the world, so people are going to tend to compare them. But it's just a point where I don't think Messi needs to go out and score a hat trick or do anything like that in order to solidify himself as being one of the top players. All right, but of course, they're always going to be compared. So we get into the Argentina-Iceland game. I figured that this was going to be a decent one, okay, given the fact that Iceland in the Euros, they went on a little run, beat England in the round of 16, drew with Portugal, I think, in their group stage, ended up losing to France in the quarterfinal like 5-2 or whatnot. But nonetheless, here, I figured Argentina was going to win, but like I said, I thought Iceland, they play very organized. They're probably one of the most organized teams, meaning they defend a lot, okay? They realize, you know what, we're Iceland, all right? We're not Mexico, we're not Croatia, okay? We're not England or anything like that. We are Iceland. We are a team. We are a nation where our population is about the size of Anaheim, California, Corpus Christi, Texas, things like that. All right. I saw a stat that 10% of Iceland's population was in Russia, meaning fans, coaches, all that. All right. Iceland's goalie is a film director. Iceland's coach is a dentist. That's the kind of team Iceland is. All right. But nonetheless, they accept that and they know what they need to do in order to give themselves the best chance to win. And that's exactly what they did by basically throwing their entire team behind Argentina. All right. It seemingly felt like Iceland was playing a 10-0-0, meaning 10 defenders, no midfielders, no attackers. All right. But nonetheless, watching the game, we get Aguero, who I believe Aguero got his goal in the 19th minute. Okay, you're thinking, you know what, Argentina's going to get it going here. Iceland's in for a bit of trouble. But of course, that's not the case. You got Alfred Finnbogason, who scores in the 23rd minute. And mind you, he ties it up there, but Iceland also had an opportunity before Aguero scored to take the lead in that game. All right? Easy chance. Probably should have put it in the back of the net, but the attacker for Iceland ended up putting it to the side of the net. Okay? So that happens. It's 1-1 after the 23rd minute. We get to halftime, still 1-1. All right. And it seemed that Iceland's game plan was to basically sit back in the second half. Basically like Mexico against Germany. Okay, sit back, run the counterattack when you can, and hope that you somehow come away with points in this match, which they did. Okay, but of course, that wasn't the story of the game. The story of the game, Messi gets a penalty. All right. And everyone's watching. Messi hits this penalty. Argentina take the lead. We're all good to go here. Okay. He gets his moment just like Ronaldo got his. Messi lines up. He misses. Shoots it to the left. The keeper saves it. All right. The film director keeper. And as soon as I saw it get blocked, you're just thinking, you know what? The comparisons are going to be rolling today. All right. I remember watching Fox's little recap show later on that night. First thing they do before they show Messi missing his penalty, show Ronaldo making his. Okay? And that's the unfair part of it. All right? I don't think Messi really played poorly against Iceland. Of course, yes, he missed the penalty. He's human. People miss penalties. All right? And one thing, too, I don't think Messi should be taking any more penalties given the fact that he's missed 4 out of his last 7 for club and country. All right, maybe let Aguero take him or someone else, but nonetheless, I don't think Messi should be taking him anymore. But like I said, Messi didn't really play poorly. It's just that one penalty is what set him back. All right, Messi had plenty of shots, had a few of them on target, and it's tough when Iceland's basically man marking the guy and he's got to give it up. Okay, let's look at exactly what Messi did here. So like I said, he was involved the entire time too. It's not like Iceland completely shut him out. All right. Argentina was trying to play through Messi the entire time, but like I said, it's just when you got about 5 different defenders on you, you're going to have to throw it out to the wing or play it back. All right, so Messi completed 60 passes, 3 of them were key passes, completed 2 out of 3 crosses, had 3 shots on target. All right, 5 of them were blocked. Like I said, Iceland was basically throwing their entire team at Messi. Okay, 8 successful dribble attempts out of 12. All right, won 13 out of 27 duels. Let's see, was fouled 4 times. All right, so he played well. It's just a point where it's going to be overshadowed because of the penalty that he missed. All right, and one thing with Argentina is they tend to start slow in World Cups. Like, remember the last World Cup where they ended up barely beating Iran? Group stage, they didn't really look too good. Round of 16, they look okay, and then they started to get better as each game progressed. I think that's maybe what we're seeing here too. But nonetheless, like I said, I'm not going to blame Messi for them tying or anything like that. I think it's a bit unfair, the criticism that he got in that game. I get he missed the penalty or whatnot, but the dude still played pretty well. Okay? So like I said, Argentina ended up drawing with Iceland 1-1. We had France and Australia playing. France beat Australia 2-1 as they should have. Wasn't very convincing for me. Okay? Australia did play well in the defense, but of course, France, they got probably one of the most complete teams in this World Cup. So you'd figure that they do a whole lot better against Australia, all right? And I'm not trying to talk down Australia or anything like that, but it's Australia. Come on now. All right, so yeah, France ended up winning 2-1 there. And let's see, what other games? Oh yeah, with Croatia, Nigeria. That game I was excited for. Didn't really deliver there. All right, Croatia ended up winning that one 2-0. Modric hit a penalty, and then you had an own goal from Nigeria, own goal made it 1-0. I think Modric had his penalty back in the 71st minute, which made it 2-0. They end up winning there. Also, Croatia's going to be sending home one of their strikers. one of their players, I should say, all right, was supposed to be subbed on in the match, said no because he had back issues. All right, obviously that's not great. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, Croatia got the job done, and as far as that group, that's not going to be the easiest thing for Argentina to get out of. Okay, Argentina obviously couldn't beat Iceland. Okay, Croatia, I'd say, at least from what I've seen, is a better team than Iceland. All right, that's who Argentina's got next on the 21st. And Nigeria is no slouch. Okay, they're the youngest team in the World Cup. I thought they'd do big things. I figure, you know what, given that they are the youngest team in the World Cup, next World Cup is going to be the one where they produce. All right, but nonetheless, like I said, Argentina, they can't look past Nigeria either. Argentina probably needs to win both games to at least win the group, I'd say. Okay, because if you look at it right now, you got Croatia, who's top of the group with 3 points. Argentina, Iceland with 1. Nigeria with 0. Let's say that Croatia and Argentina end up drawing. That gives Croatia 4, Argentina 2. And I could see Iceland beating Nigeria, given the fact that Iceland just likes to sit back. All right. So let's say that Iceland beats Nigeria. That gives them 4 points. Argentina 2, like I said, Croatia 4 also. All right. Argentina's got to win and got to hope that Iceland can't get it done against Croatia or they don't draw. So like I said, it's not going to be the easiest thing there. But nonetheless, that's not the only game we had going on Saturday. We had Peru, Denmark. Peru should have won that game. All right, Denmark ended up winning 1-0. Peru had about a million different chances to score. And I think with Peru, it's just a matter of they haven't been in the World Cup in a while. All right. And it's just the nerves will hit you. And I think that's exactly what happened there. You got Paulo Guerrero come in. He didn't even start. I don't understand why he didn't start, okay? That's that team's captain, probably their best striker, and I don't understand Peru's coach not starting. But nonetheless, he comes on, tries to score off a back heel, barely misses. And like I said, it was just a matter of, and they had a penalty too. And I don't understand why these players out here will stutter step their way to the ball and launch it over how they always do. We had Zaza for Italy back in the Euros do the same thing. All right, so I don't get why they do that run up, but nonetheless, Peru missed a penalty. Like I said, missed a bunch of other chances also. All right, so Denmark ended up winning that one 1-0. And then for Sunday's matches, okay, like I said, we already covered Germany, Mexico. We had Costa Rica, Serbia. Costa Rica didn't really look that good coming into the World Cup as far as their little tune-up friendlies. Serbia ended up winning 1-0 off of a Kolarov free kick. I mean, that was a great free kick there. Probably one. It was better than Ronaldo's free kick, I'd say. All right, so Serbia ends up winning 1-0. All right, and then also in their group was Brazil and Switzerland. All right, Brazil's got a lot of pressure on them for this World Cup. Last World Cup, obviously, was in your home country. You're looking great. You get to the semis. You lose to Germany 7-1. Okay, no one's forgot about that. I'll never forget about it. I'll always remember to bring it up. But nonetheless, there's a lot of pressure on Brazil coming into this World Cup because of that, so you expect them to do well. All right. Brazil early on in the game, yesterday against Switzerland, looked great, playing well, pretty much how you'd expect a Brazil team to play. All right, the footwork, the flair, all of that. They end up scoring in the, it was the 20th minute. Felipe Coutinho scores. I mean, about as good as a goal as it gets. All right, from the left side of the 18, outside, ends up curling it in off the post into the net. Perfect goal, typical Brazil goal there. All right. And I feel that as soon as they scored, Brazil played about as poorly as you could. Okay? They completely got away from everything, I feel. I'm not really sure why. It kind of seemed that Brazil underestimated Switzerland in this one. And I think that's what happened. I think Brazil just got a little too confident, figured, you know what, we'll be fine. We're Brazil. This is Switzerland. If we need another goal, we'll get it. And that never came, okay? Because then you got it in the 50th minute, you got Steven Zuber scoring and tying it up. And on that goal, I think Alisson probably should have came out, the keeper for Brazil, should have came out and punched that one out. All right, that was way too close to the net for Switzerland to have an open header like that. And there was 6 defenders around him. I don't understand how the ball gets there, but nonetheless, it does. And like I said, Steven Zuber ends up scoring. All right, so that makes it 1-1. Fernandinho comes in for Casemiro in the 60th minute. Renato Augusto comes in for Paulinho, and then Roberto Firmino comes in for Gabriel Jesus in the 80th minute. All right, Brazil's trying to score, and they seemingly can't get it. They have a few chances later on in the game, like around the 80th minute. After that, they can't get it. It's in the net. Game ends as a draw. All right. Obviously, for Mexico, you're a bit disappointed given the fact that you beat Germany and you need Brazil to win their group so you can avoid them. That wasn't the case here. Right now, Brazil is tied for second with Switzerland. All right. You got Serbia, who's leading that group right now. Okay. And like I said, with Brazil, I think it was just a matter of too much confidence in this one. Okay. I feel they got way too cocky. And I think they'll be fine. I think they still will win the group. But it's just the point where Neymar didn't really look 100%. And the poor guy got fouled so many times. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up exactly how many times Neymar got fouled. And Neymar had a few chances too. It's just he couldn't get it done. So Neymar was fouled 10 times. All right. A few of them he did dive on though. And that's just clearly just what Neymar does. But I mean, Switzerland were hacking the guy. Okay. But like I said, nonetheless, Brazil ended up tying 1-1. I believe they got, is it Serbia next? Let me double check that. Exactly, so I could be correct on here. So they got Costa Rica next. They finish off with Serbia. Costa Rica isn't a slouch either. All right, so Brazil's going to have to come out playing well. And in this game, one goal is inexcusable. Okay, when you're drawing out a front three of Gabriel Jesus, Neymar, and Coutinho, you need to do a whole lot more there. All right. Brazil's way too good of a team to be tying 1-1 with Switzerland. I'm not trying to take anything away from Switzerland. They always tried out a decent World Cup team, but nonetheless, you're Brazil. You need to do something here. All right. And so far, I think what we've seen is that these top teams have struggled. Okay. And I think that's the case because we're seeing, obviously we saw Iceland, they sat back and whatnot, but teams like Mexico came out, punched Germany in the face. All right. Go out and attack. Don't just sit back and try and counter. All right. We're seeing that with right now. I'm watching Tunisia and England. Tunisia is not even trying to sit back. They're trying to score and whatnot. All right. So these teams really aren't scared of the bigger clubs, or not the bigger clubs, the bigger national teams. All right. So I think that's one of the pluses there. I think that's why we've seen such a great World Cup. There's no parking the bus really here, except for Iceland. Even when Iceland does it, you kind of appreciate it. Iceland parking the bus is kind of like watching a Floyd Mayweather fight, where Floyd's a big defensive fighter. All right. And he's one where he's going to pick and choose his moments. That's exactly what Iceland did. All right. So I don't think I'd ever compare Iceland and Floyd Mayweather, but that's what we do here. We compare people. All right. So like I said, great games. We had 3 games going on tonight. We're going to talk about those in the 4th segment. Next up, we'll be talking about Julio Jones and the problems with him and the Falcons right now. So stay tuned and I'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far, we spent the first 2 segments on the World Cup. Spent the first segment talking about Mexico's defeat against Germany. All right, probably, like I said, the biggest win in Mexico's history. I mean, of course, you got the game against Croatia in the last World Cup, the round of 16 match against Bulgaria, I believe in '86 it was. All right, I think that was the one where they scored that. I can't remember exactly who was that score, but it was like probably the best goal Mexico's ever scored in the history of that team. All right, but nonetheless, I think that this game right here against Germany was huge, given the fact that Germany is the defending World Cup champs and also the number 1 team according to the FIFA rankings. All right, so we talked about that for the first segment. Second segment, we talked about all the other games over the weekend in the World Cup. Argentina drawing with Iceland. Of course, Messi was taking some heat. I don't necessarily think that it was his fault or anything like that. Of course, he misses the penalty and whatnot, but the guy had chances, and it's just Iceland did well. Okay. Brazil drawing 1-1 with Switzerland. I mean, not good enough from Brazil. Seemingly got too confident after their first goal, I feel. All right. And like I said, we had a bunch of other great games that took place. All right. Of course, like I said, we got the 3 going on today. England, Tunisia, Belgium, Panama, and then Sweden, Korea. We'll be talking about that in the next segment. But of course, now we're going to be heading over to the NFL. All right. And it seems that things aren't so great in the ATL. Talking about the Falcons, obviously. Julio Jones, holding out, not at minicamp, wants a new deal. All right. Wants a new deal. Signed one, I think, back in 2015, which he was getting paid $14 million. And as you know, in the NFL, the market will eventually pass you up, which it has for Julio Jones. Now you got Jarvis Landry making $15 million a year. DeAndre Hopkins is making $16. I believe Sammy Watkins is making $16 also. Okay, you got Mike Evans making around like a little over $16 million a year. So, obviously, if you're Julio Jones, you're thinking, oh, all those guys that Jesse just named, yeah, I'm better than all of them. All right, and I'm assuming Julio Jones maybe listens to the podcast. Who knows? I mean, crazy things have happened. All right, but nonetheless, Julio Jones, yes, I would say is better than them. And Julio now wants to be compensated because of that. Okay, he understands that he signed his deal back in, like I said, 2015, a few years ago or whatnot. I can't remember the exact date or year. But nonetheless, Julio Jones at $14 million, given the way the market is now, seems like a bargain. All right, Julio Jones doesn't want to be a bargain. And I get that. I also get the fact that the Falcons were hesitant on paying him. His deal isn't up till 2021, I believe, so he's really got no leverage. All right? But of course, the Falcons, it seems, are trying to be cool and trying to work a new deal with him. All right? And it seems like they're close. But the Falcons aren't too happy with the fact that Julio's not at minicamp. Okay? Falcons aren't too happy with the fact that Julio is working out with Terrell Owens. I get that one. I completely understand why you wouldn't be happy there. Terrell Owens necessarily, maybe not the guy you want your star receiver to be working out with, given the fact that you know Julio's going to be trying to pick Terrell Owens' brain, and Terrell Owens, I guess, isn't the biggest team player. All right. So if you're the Falcons, you got to be worried about what exactly is Terrell Owens telling this guy. And of course, we're talking about the TO who was frustrated at the fact that it took so long for him to get into the Hall of Fame, 3 years. All right. And decides, you know what? You guys go ahead, have your little ceremony. I'm not going to be there. All right. Terrell Owens, no shorter headlines there. I mean, makes my job a whole lot easier here. Okay. But nonetheless, like I said, Falcons aren't too happy with him working out there. And also the Falcons, like I said, they got their little rinky-dink motto in brotherhood or whatever, meaning they're brothers. It's a brotherhood. You know how it goes. All right, every team's got their little cheesy motto. All right, and of course, with Julio not at minicamp, there's no brotherhood. He's affecting the brotherhood, you know? So I think that's one of the biggest things what the Falcons are frustrated with. And I think it's just frustration on both sides. Julio wants to get paid more. Falcons want Julio there. All right, and I mean, I'm not sure how big of a story this is, okay, given the fact that when Julio gets that new check for that new deal, everything's going to be fine. All right? I mean, do we really expect anything to come from this? Like I said, Julio's got no real leverage here. And honestly, the Falcons would be doing him a favor, I guess, by paying him more. They don't have to. All right? It's not like he's in a contract year or anything like that. Let me see. Let me take a closer look at his contract and see exactly what we're working with here. All right. So let's see. Where's you at, Julio? Like I said, he's making $14 million a year right now. Signed a 5-year deal back in, let me see. Signed his, back in 2015, so I was right. All right. Deal does not expire. He does not become a free agent until 2021. So, after his 2020 season is when the deal's over. We're in 2018. That's 2 more years of team control there. Okay. But, of course, the Falcons are going to, seems like they're close to a new deal. I'm not sure exactly how much more they're going to be paying him. I mean, you got to think that if they're giving him a pay raise, it's got to make him the highest paid receiver in the league, right? Or maybe it's just one where he wants to one-up Jarvis Landry and those guys that are making more than him. I think right now Antonio Brown's making the most money per year at 17. All right? I'd be surprised to see Julio make that. All right? I think he's going to be in the 16 range, but of course I wouldn't put it past the Falcons making him the highest paid player, the highest paid receiver in the league. But like I said, nonetheless, I don't think this is really a problem. I think that the Falcons are going to be fine. It's just more so a fact where I think the biggest problem here is that he's working out with Terrell Owens. All right? That would terrify me as a head coach, GM, or whatnot. Because these players seem to, like, we've had the generation of players where it was all about loyalty, okay? You're going to stick with your one team and play there for the rest of your career. Now, so I think that even across all professional leagues, the NBA and all that, players are starting to think more individually. Okay, think about themselves. Starting to realize that, yeah, this is a business. I'm going to go do what's best for me rather than do what's best for the team. All right? And when you got the game heading more towards that way, you got a guy going to work out with Terrell Owens, the ultimate, it's all about me. I'm an individual player. T.O. could be telling him to not sign the deal and go somewhere else or whatnot. All right, Terrell Owens, I would say, isn't the best of influences on other players. Okay? He could have been, but of course, I mean, the dude had problems with every quarterback he's ever played with. Jeff Garcia, Donovan McNabb. I'm not sure that he had a problem with Tony Romo. All right, given the fact that press conference where he cried. That's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen, too. All right, when he's crying, saying, "That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback." Why is he crying? Can someone explain that to me too? Like, does anyone know why Terrell Owens exactly was like? What caused him to cry? All right, I mean, over Tony Romo, of all people. I don't know. Like I said, one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. But of course, Terrell Owens is just out there. All right, I don't know. We got to get Terrell Owens on this show. All right. Terrell Owens, I guess, too, is a bit misunderstood, but he does it to himself a bit. And I'm watching this England game right now against Tunisia. England just scored in the 90th minute. Harry Kane got his second goal of the game. Almost classic England there, but like I said, we'll talk more about him in the next segment. But like I said, if I'm the Falcons, I'm not too worried about anything. They shouldn't be. I mean, now so we're seeing headlines like this kind of get propped up and overblown a bit. Because, I mean, look at the situation, okay? Julio Jones wants more money. The Falcons want Julio Jones with the team. The Falcons, let's say they gave him a new contract where he makes more money. Julio Jones is back with the team. Everything's great. Okay? I mean, you got people saying their relationship is kind of strained right now. They're not too happy with each other, but Julio's going to get what he wants. The Falcons are going to get what they want. I mean, how does this end poorly? It doesn't. If anything, it ends the way it should have. Okay? And I'm all for players getting paid and all that, but, I mean, I wouldn't blame the Falcons if they just said, yeah, we're not going to pay you. All right, you're already under a contract. Just given the fact, like I said, if it was a contract year, yeah, that's different. You got to go out and pay the guy. Kind of like what the Cardinals got to do with David Johnson. Raiders got to do with Khalil Mack and all that. All right, those guys got to get deals done because they're in contract years. They're at the end of their rookie deals. All right. But, of course, Julio, I mean, he's already signed his big money contract. He's already gotten one of those. Now he just wants to be compensated more because you got Jarvis Landry, the best slot receiver in the game, making more than him. Julio Jones, you could argue, is the best receiver in the game. I'm not going to go as far as to say that, okay? Given the fact that I think Antonio Brown is better at everything. But, of course, like I said, there's no real problem here. It's not like Julio's going to demand a trade or anything like that. The guy's going to get paid. He's going to be back at camp. Everything's going to be good in Atlanta, all right? And one thing I'm curious, too, is Steve Sarkisian going to get the guy more involved in the offense as far as the red zone, or is he just going to completely forget about him and look at the other guys? All right. I am not anti-Steve Sarkisian like I am anti-Jeff Fisher, but I'm getting close. Okay. Julio Jones last year, I feel underperformed a bit. And I don't think that was necessarily Julio's fault. I think that's on the offense that's being run. All right. So we'll see what ends up going down. But like I said, Julio's going to get paid. I mean, Everyone's going to be a happy family again. But, of course, like I said, the real story here is Julio working out with Terrell Owens. If I'm the Falcons, I'm a bit nervous there. I'm not sure what words of wisdom you got T.O. giving Julio. So we'll see what ends up going down. But, of course, we're going to wrap it up here. Like I said, next up, we're going to be talking about the U.S. Open. Plenty of storylines there for me to pick from. I'm not the biggest golf guy. I'm not in that golf community. But, of course, I got some thoughts. So stay tuned for that. And we will also talk about today's World Cup games. So stay tuned, like I said, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. And my gosh, did people over at the U.S. Open lose their minds this weekend? All right, like absolutely lost it. You had Andy North over at ESPN saying that what Phil Mickelson did was bad for the kids. Okay, they saw that. That's bad influence on them. Like the hot takes were running rampant. All right. And it was a joy to watch, let me tell you. All right, but of course, let's just get right into it. So we had the U.S. Open over the weekend. Golf's biggest tournament. I don't know, is that the Masters or the U.S. Open? I'm not sure exactly. All right, but nonetheless, Phil Mickelson putting. Let's see, it was on a par 4 hole. And it was on the 13th hole. And he putts it. It starts to roll off the green. Kind of jogs over to it, hits it as it's still rolling, and takes a 2-stroke penalty. To me, that doesn't seem like a big deal. Whatever. All right. Phil took his 2-stroke penalty. He's done with it. Move on to the next hole, all right? No. I'm telling you, when I say that these people lost their minds, these people lost their minds over it. Okay? I've never seen anything like it. And I'm not a big golf guy or anything like that. I'm not like in the golf community. I don't go golfing mainly because I'm 5'6" and not really big enough to go and hit it down the fairways. All right. Plus, I figured I could do other things with my day and play golf. It's for some. It's for some people, and it's not for some people. I'd say it's not for me. Of course, sometimes I'll turn on tournaments and stuff, see how Tiger's doing. I like watching Phil Mickelson, so I'll watch him too. But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, the guy putts it, it's rolling off the green, hits it as it's rolling still back, takes a 2-stroke penalty, and, I mean, we were seeing people saying that the spirit of the game has been compromised, Phil Mickelson disgraced the game, all that, and it's just like, wow, okay? And I'm not sure exactly how the golf community really polices itself, like what are the unwritten rules, what you do, what you don't do, or anything like that. But there's just a point where I think we were all a bit overreacting here. Okay? I think golf's just fine. I don't think the spirit of the game has been compromised. I don't think Phil Mickelson's a disgrace. Okay, I think what's a disgrace is that you had your champion finishing 1 over. All right? And that's the real problem. It's not Phil. It's the fact that your champion finished 1 over. Okay? Last time I checked, you want to finish under par, not over it. So you have Brooks Koepka winning it for the second year in a row, which was great. All right. And Tommy Fleetwood shooting a 63 in the final round. almost made a comeback, ended up finishing at a 2 over par. Okay, but like I said, look at these scores, okay? The winner, 1 over par. Second place, 2 over par. Third place, 3 over. Fourth, 4 over. Fifth, 5 over. Sixth, 6 over. Okay? How is that good for golf? How? How are you going to get people like me, the casuals, or whatnot, to tune in when you got them putting out scores like John Doe? All right? Just some average Joe out there, shooting over par, probably feeling good because, oh, look at this. All right? And I guess over at the U.S. Open, they play at Shinnecock Hills or whatnot. It's a bit tricky to play there. Players, the golfers, are they golfers or are they players? I'll say golfers. Golfers weren't too happy about the fact that it was very difficult to play there. Okay? And there's been two sides to this whole argument. It's the whole, well, you're professional golfers, you're millionaires, deal with it, you'll be fine. All right? And there's the point where this is one of the biggest tournaments of the PGA Tour. Okay? And you got a guy winning it, finishing 1 over par. I mean, is that great? To me, it just seems like it's bad golf all weekend long. I mean, you had Tiger Woods, who was about basically 20 over par. All right, I'm over-exaggerating, but nonetheless, dude looked terrible. All right, they made Tiger Woods look terrible. Granted, Tiger Woods hasn't really looked great, hasn't really won much since his surgeries and all. But of course, you figure maybe you want your golfers having the best scores so that'll attract fans. All right? But of course, it's not going to happen that way. All right? Going back to the whole Phil Mickelson, I think, like I said, I'm not in the whole golf community or anything like that, so I don't know what the do's and don'ts are, unwritten rules and whatnot. I feel like kind of they were taking themselves a bit seriously with the whole spirit of the game being compromised. Phil Mickelson disgracing the game and all that. Like, no one, it's not that big of much of a problem to me. All right? I'm not going to stop talking golf because Phil Mickelson putted and hit the ball again as it was rolling. All right? That's not going to happen. We'll still talk golf. All right? We'll still tell you when Tiger misses the cut. I mean, it's all fine. We're not going to go anywhere. We're fine. The game's still fine, I think. All right? But, of course, I mean, I'm not sure if golf is trying to grow their game or whatnot, but this is not the way to do it, where you're freaking out over a guy taking a 2-stroke penalty because he putted and ran over and hit it again as it was still rolling. All right? I think you'll be fine. But, of course, like I said, I'm not part of that golf community. I'm not sure what the unwritten rules, what the do's and don'ts are. So, either way, like I said, Brooks Koepka winning it at 1 over par. Like I said, that's the real travesty of this weekend at the U.S. Open. I mean, you really proud of that? I don't think so. All right. So that happened over the weekend. Let's see anything else before we talk about today's games in the World Cup. I don't think there's much. Barry Trotz, Washington Capitals head coach. All right. Let's not forget, this team just won the Stanley Cup. Trotz says, I'm out. Okay. Resigns today. That's a bit of a shocker there. Kind of puts a damper on the post-Stanley Cup celebration. All right. But let's see. It seemed to be issues with his contract. All right. He didn't have a contract after the season, but there was a report that there was a 2-year extension offered to him if he won the Stanley Cup. And I guess they just couldn't come to terms as far as the money. Okay. And here we are. Barry Trotz, now a free agent head coach. Who's going to pick him up? I have no clue. All right. But like I said, it's one of the odder things seeing that you just won the Stanley Cup. Now your coach is like, all right, I'm out. See you guys later. All right. So that's news. Let's see what else is going on right now. World Cup's been dominating too, I'd say. All right. And we got ESPN doing stuff where you're having, like, their coverage of the World Cup has been terrible. And I get they don't have the rights to it, but I mean, when you got Scott on the Scott Van Pelt show, that late Sports Center, you got kids sending in pictures and stuff as far as drawing the game and all. Like, come on. That's cool, but can we get some real analysis here? All right. Let's see. Rudy Gay opting out of his deal with the Spurs. That's not really big news there, okay? Rudy Gay's old. He doesn't really bring too much to a team. Maybe some veteran experience, but that's it. Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton signing with Puma. Okay? Throwback to Vince Carter when he signed with Puma, I believe it was, when he came out into the draft. Puma also made Jay-Z, I believe it was, let me see. He's the new Puma. He's the new president of basketball operations for Puma. Obviously, Puma has something up their sleeve here. Okay? You got 2 of the top 5 prospects in the NBA draft signing endorsement deals with you. Plus, you got Jay-Z being the president of basketball operations for your brand. Is Puma on the come up here? I have no clue. I've always thought Puma was more of a soccer brand. All right? They got some cool shoes. But more so, I've never thought Puma and the NBA went together. All right? Puma's always had its little lane. It's always been Nike and Adidas. Now it's kind of Under Armour with Steph Curry in the NBA, but it's Under Armour. I mean, Under Armour's more of a baseball thing too. All right, but of course, Marvin Bagley, DeAndre Ayton signing with Puma. All right, is Puma going to be the next powerhouse? Who knows? They make good stuff. I like Puma. All right, so we'll see. Nonetheless, let's talk about these games. Earlier today, we had Sweden versus South Korea. All right, and we had Sweden winning that one 1-0. Okay. Sweden got a goal in the 65th minute from Andreas Granqvist. All right, that was the only goal of the game. Looking at the stats here, I mean, it wasn't the funnest match, but of course, I mean, Sweden did have multiple opportunities to score. Took 15 shots, Korea took 5 of them, so it was just basically Sweden dominated in this one. All right. South Korea's best player, Son Heung-min Son, I should say. Okay. He did all right, was average, I'd say. No shots on target, no shots. Like, didn't even take a shot today. Made 17 passes. He was very pedestrian today, I'd say. Wasn't bad, but wasn't great. So, like I said, Sweden ended up winning that one 1-0. Now you got Sweden and Mexico tied for number 1 in the group. All right. I believe right now you got Sweden, who technically is at the top. But, of course, we still got 2 more games left. Germany, no points. South Korea, no points. Germany's got Sweden next, and Sweden isn't no slouch, okay? They don't have the greatest players, but of course, they're kind of like Iceland in the way where they have their tactics, they're going to stick to it, and that's going to give them a great chance to win. All right, so like I said, Sweden won 1-0, and we had Belgium-Panama. I mean, this game pretty much ended the way we all thought, Belgium winning 3-0. Panama isn't necessarily your CONCACAF powerhouse, I guess, like Mexico or even a Costa Rica would be. All right, I think they're just happy to be in the World Cup for the first time ever. And Panama wasn't really sitting back or anything like that to start. They were out there trying to go at Belgium, okay? And like I said, that's what makes this World Cup so great. All right, like I said, it wasn't enough. You had Lukaku scoring twice. Dries Mertens scoring a volley, which was probably the goal of the tournament so far. All right, he scored that in the 47th minute. I mean, it was perfect, too. It's not like he was in the middle of the box or anything. He was on the right side of the box and volleying it over into the left side of the net, all right, for a goal. So that was a plus there. That's 1-0. He had Lukaku scoring off of a great pass from Kevin De Bruyne, 2-0, and then Lukaku gets the ball from Eden Hazard. Lukaku chips it over the keeper into the net, which makes it 3-0. I mean, not really much takeaway here, all right? Belgium did what they were supposed to. I mean, what? You expect them to not beat Panama? All right. I'm not really going to be impressed with Belgium until they do something after the group stage. Okay. They need to win a quarterfinal. I might be a bit harsh. Might be a little. That's not too high of expectations. They got a team good enough to where they should be doing that. All right. So I'm not on the Belgium hype train or anything like that yet. You need to do something other than beat Panama 3-0. And then, of course, for the final game of the day, I should say, we had England versus Tunisia. England scores early on in the match. Harry Kane with a goal. All right. And then England basically turned into England for most of the rest of the match. All right. So let's see. Kane got his goal in the 11th minute. England was just dominant, too, in the first 10 minutes. Just attacking. Then, of course, Kyle Walker, foul. All right. In the box. Penalty for Tunisia. Virginie Sassi scores the penalty in the 35th minute. Makes it 1-0. Rest of the match. Still 1-1. 90th minute gets here. And of course, Harry Kane gets the game winner. England almost went full England in this one, but barely saved themselves from themselves. They end up winning 2-1. And I don't know what it is with England. It's a bit ridiculous, the fact that they just can't deliver. Okay, you shouldn't be beating Tunisia 2-1. You should be beating them 3-0 like Belgium beat Panama. All right? Tunisia isn't no powerhouse or anything like that. So, I mean, at least England got the win there. Tomorrow we got Colombia, Japan at 5 o'clock in the morning. Poland, Senegal. Senegal should be a fun one. And then Russia, Egypt at 11 o'clock. Hopefully Salah plays in that one. I'll definitely be catching that one. But nonetheless, like I said, World Cup has been great so far. Let's take a look at the group standings so far. Okay. Of course, we still got Group H left to play tomorrow. Group A, you have Russia up in that one with 3 points. Uruguay in second with 3 points also. Russia ahead on goal differential. Iran leading Group B. All right. They got 3 points. Then you got Portugal with 1 point, Spain with 1 point, Morocco with 0. France leading Group C as they should be, up with 3 points. Then you got Denmark in second with 3 points. All right. Group D, Croatia leading the group with 3. Argentina in second with 1. Iceland right there with 1. And then Nigeria with 0. Group E, Serbia with 3 points in the lead. Brazil with 1. Switzerland with 1. Obviously, Costa Rica with 0. Group F, they got Sweden up top, 3 points. Mexico number 2 with 3. Germany 0. South Korea 0. Belgium leading Group G with 3 points. All right, on goal differential against England, who also have 3 points. And then, like I said, Group H going to be having their matches played tomorrow. So we're going to wrap it up here. Today, we talked about the World Cup matches over the weekend. Talked about Julio Jones. Also talked about the U.S. Open. All right. Everyone losing their minds there. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I will be back tomorrow, and we will be talking about tomorrow's matches in the World Cup, along with other things. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, I will talk to you tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.